So today is Friday, April 10th, and here's what I got done this week. I didn't get quite as much done. I feel like I start every single video off by saying I didn't get quite as much done as I was hoping, but I guess that's how it goes. So anyway, I need to paint the inside of the canopy here so that I can install the rear side inside side skins here, the seat belts, a whole bunch of things inside the plane can kind of get buttoned up and finished. So it's time to do that. I really should have done it before I put it on, but didn't have any paint, didn't even know paint scheme ideas yet, and I needed to put it on to get the this parachute cable because it mounts to the same part as the engine mount through the other side. So one thing led to another, and anyway, I'm gonna have to paint it kind of upside down. So I was doing a lot of the prep work this week. It came with a lot of dings and little ugly parts. One of the things that it had was a serial number scratched into it going up and down there. So that was pretty lame, but it doesn't take that long to get some Bondo in there and just kind of cover it up and sanding. So then the next step will be to spray it with a sanding primer and then sand it again and make sure it's all smooth, and then shoot it with the paint. So that's going to be true of all the composite stuff. So I started preparing the wheel pants, everything, because these are all going to be the same process as the interior of the canopy there. These are going to have dark gray on the undercarriage, and the inside of the canopy is going to be dark gray as well. So because they're all composite, they're all so they'll all need the same sanding primer for the composites, and they're going to be the same color. I'm hoping to get it all in one go, and same thing with the inside of the doors. So I took off all of my hardware for the inside of the doors and started smoothing them out. This one I haven't done yet, but this one I've done. So basically I just hit them with 220 sandpaper, because there's a lot of, I don't know, they spray whatever this is. It's probably similar to the primer I'm going to use, like a sanding primer to fill the composite. And it's got a lot of, I don't know, texture kind of, because it's not a really perfectly smooth job. So you can also see I haven't done the Bondo work along here. This is kind of what the canopy and everything looks like right out of the box. So you need to, sand off. Here's an example of kind of that crap that's on it that you gotta sand that off, smooth it out. So same thing will happen here. And so that's why I built the paint booth, because pretty much it's gonna be time to start painting. So I don't wanna mess up my new shop. So I built this paint booth. It's, I don't know, it came out okay. It was only about $200 in materials. So it's 30 feet long by 10 feet wide and 8 feet high. It's, I've got a 6-inch vent fan over there at one end, and these, focus, come on, it's my hand. Those air conditioner return vent filters up there, they're only like $3 or $4 a piece. So, and it's funny because they're 25 inches wide. So you can see this one right here had to be a different size because 25 doesn't divide evenly to 10 feet or 25 inches. So anyway, this is what I've got so far. Oh yeah, I ended up kind of putting the seat together a little further just for my own curiosity. So I decided to kind of leave it like this and just show it in the video. I really like this upholstery. I think they do a really good job. There's a lot of cushion. If you've ever test flown 135 Whiskey Tango, kind of that flagship TSi that's over there in Torrance, it's got a different upholstery on it that totally doesn't do this stuff justice. It was, some older version that they used to do, but man, this is nice. I really like it. And so this kind of gives me an idea of, I'll have to paint this as well. The back of the seat, a lot of exposed metal. So There was a guy who's building a TSi that I keep in touch with who powder coated his, which is an awesome idea. But for anybody out there who's doing this, if you're gonna powder coat yours, make sure to remove all the plastic pieces. So there's plastic kind of bushing stuff for all the sliding mechanisms, all the rotation points, so that nothing binds. And when you powder coat and stick it in the oven, that stuff's all gonna melt. So just keep that in mind, not to make that mistake. I'm not gonna powder coat mine. I think I'm just gonna paint it with the same paint that I'm gonna paint the, I'll do the dark gray here, same thing as inside the canopy. So anyway, yeah, so starting next week, I'll be able to get moving on hopefully shooting some paint and seeing how that goes. I was playing with my paint gun. It's been a long time since I've painted a car or anything like that, but play around with it with some test parts and whatnot until I'm comfortable, and then I'll start with less visible parts, you know, the inside of, and this is a nice flat easy part too, so the inside of the wheel pant, much harder to see than the outside of the wheel pant, stuff like that. And yeah, take it one step at a time. And the last thing I'll do, well, not the last thing, but the last thing of the things I'm doing soon will be the inside of this canopy here. So hopefully at the end of next week I'll have a, oh here, let me show a little bit of inside. So here's the inside of the paint booth. Yeah, like I said earlier, I've got just the 1 6-inch vent fan. I've got a second one, so if it starts getting hazy, I will obviously just add the second fan. Right now, one fan gives it a good negative pressure in here. I'm actually not really sure if a paint booth is supposed to have negative or positive pressure, but this one has negative. So at the other end of the fan, on the outlet of the fan, I'll just run a 6-inch flex duct just out the door. I'll just crack that door a little bit, and that should do a good job. I haven't really figured out a very good door for it, so all I did was hang from the top here a sheet of this 4mm plastic, and then kind of folded it back over and stuck a 2x4 in it, and you could pull it up close, and then with the negative pressure in the room, it kind of just sucks it all closed. So obviously it would be really difficult to get a perfect seal on this whole thing, but the good news is, because it's plastic and PVC, it will hopefully have like a static charge that attracts the paint to it. I don't know. And of course I'll have to bring in a bunch of lighting and stuff when it's actually time to paint. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much the update. Yeah, like I said, I mean, because it's negative pressure in here and not positive pressure, hopefully rather than just spewing paint everywhere in the shop, it's you know, sucking air in and only pushing the paint out the door. So all right, that's it for this week. So have a good weekend. Stay also, it's kind of funny because while I'm doing all this sanding, a couple of things you really need while you're sanding parts like this are the N95 respirator masks and gloves. Also turns out that those are things you can't get right now. So I'm kind of sanding with my shirt over my nose and whatever else I can do. But I'll make do. So, all right, have a good weekend. I will be back at it next week.